Jesse. I'm on the steering committee of the Vancouver Tenants Union. First off, just want to express my solidarity for the tenants of Thorncliffe Park in Toronto who are starting their rent strike today. And happy May Day. So I'm one of nearly 3,000 renters from across the Lower Mainland who proudly call themselves a unionized renter. The Vancouver Tenants Union was founded in 2017, picking up on nearly a century-long legacy of tenants' rights organizing and grassroots struggles for housing justice in this city. A struggle that has many intersections and ties with the labor movement. Labor activist Helena Gutteridge, whose namesake is the square we're standing in, was also a housing activist. She co-founded the Vancouver Housing Association in 1938 with labor and CCF activists, a group that organized around renters' rights and dignified public housing over the next several decades. And on City Council, she brought in the city's first standards and maintenance bylaw. In the 60s and 70s, organized tenants working with labor through the VDLC won significant gains for renters in this city. The right to vote in municipal elections, just cause eviction legislation, and rent control. Yeah. That's rent control tied to the unit, not the tenant, which we had until 1983. Tenant organizers like Bruce York, who co-founded the Vancouver Tenants Council, went on to become a labor-endorsed city councillor. And then in the 1980s and 90s, the Tenants' Rights Action Coalition, today known as TRAC, formed in response to massive attacks on labor and civil society and participated in Operation Solidarity. The current moment of sky-high rents, unjust evictions, and perpetual housing crisis is connected to this long thread of struggle in Vancouver. The last 20 years especially have showed us that when workers and the politicians that we send to office go easy on the forces of private real estate capital, that we all pay for it. Kill the banks! The crisis of affordability and displacement intensifies. We are attacked with high rents and low wages, sub-living wages. These are two sides of the same coin. Now more than ever, renters and workers need to pull together to push back on the tide of greed, speculation, and displacement that has always been at the heart of this city's real estate-driven politics. You're here! You're here! Real estate interests work around the clock to distract us with the narratives that suit them. They love the YIMBY-NIMBY debate because instead of talking about how we need to regulate their industry, instead of building consensus around public housing options, or instead of centering those who are most marginalized by the housing crisis, what do we get? We get a disingenuous, ill-informed, and at times hysterical debate about how many units are being built. The housing crisis is not just a number of units crisis. When the vast majority of housing that we are building and living in does not provide a level of affordability, stability, or dignity that we need to thrive as working class people, that is the crisis. Yeah. When 95% of Canada's housing market is privately owned, controlled, and profit-driven, that is the crisis. Yes. More private landlords won't make housing more affordable, stable, or dignified. More privately owned micro-suites, laneway houses, and townhomes won't either, even if it's on a side street, even if there's a temporary glut of them. We need to listen to renters and the most marginalized by this housing crisis, because the solutions have been in front of us the whole time. We need to reinvigorate our fight for truly affordable public housing.
Public housing.
And we need vacancy control, rent control tied to the unit.
Yeah.
And we need civic tenant protections with teeth to make sure that every renter in this city, not just the ones along Broadway, can stay rooted in our communities if our homes are redeveloped. And we need to stop flagrantly violating the human rights of our unhoused neighbors. Stop the sweeps!
Yes.
Stop the sweeps! Stop the sweeps!
Stop the sweeps. Stop the sweeps.
If this will ever be possible, we need our allies in labor to step up in this moment. We must fight for these things together with the vigor and militancy of those who came before us, because that is what a crisis demands. Thank you.
Good evening, workers of Vancouver. Happy May Day, make some noise! On behalf of our 20,000 members in BC, 4,000 of whom are still on strike at the Canada Revenue Agency, thank you for having me tonight. Make some noise for the strikers. Make some noise for all those that are currently on strike. But it's not all doom and gloom. On May 1st, International Day of the Worker, we were able to achieve a tentative agreement for 120,000 Canadians from coast to coast to coast. This is an agreement that includes fair wages, which will help our members keep up with the cost of inflation. I see a flag over there. It's going to keep public jobs public and not outsourced. It's going to make sure that our workplaces are more inclusive, eliminating racism and oppression in the workplace. But this didn't just happen on our own. Our members were mobilized, don't get me wrong about that, but we needed all of you to fight the past 11 days and get the agreement we needed from the boss. Thank you. We needed other unions. We needed workers. We needed community groups. We needed progressive politicians. We needed you to come by our picket lines. I see a lot of our picket signs here today. That means people were there. So thank you for coming and supporting us, because when workers stand together, workers win. And when workers fight together, workers win. As Stefan said, this is a monumental time for us, especially in the Public Service Alliance of Canada. We've never had a strike bigger than this. We have 155,000 members that were out on strike from coast to coast to coast in every community in this country. That being said, I just really want to say this is a monumental day for me. I've never actually spoken at May Day before, and this really makes me proud to see all of these folks here today standing up for working people, not just in Vancouver, but around the world. Absolutely. Let's do a little bit of a chant here before we get back. So. Solidarity. Solidarity. So I'd just really like to give Stefan and the VDLC a very big thank you for having me here today. Stefan, thank you so much.
Thank you, Brother Mills. All right. Let's do one for the workers still on the picket line. What do we want? Fair contract. What do we want?
Fair contract!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Fair contract!
When do we want it?
Now!